Indonesia has dropped 4 places to the 41st in the Global Competitiveness Index of 138 countries, which grades institutions, infrastructure, and the macroeconomic environment, as well as health and primary education, among others. Despite Indonesia's extensive economic reforms, its performance remains one of contrasts and has seen it overtaken by several countries, including India, which rose 16 spots to 39th. The country ranks 10th for market size, 30th in the macroeconomic environment. In spite of the lengthy commodity bust, it also performs well in financial development, rising 7 spots to 42nd, but ranks a low 100th in health and basic education after sliding 20 places. While regional neighbors Malaysia and the Philippines have both slipped to 25th and 57th, respectively, with Switzerland and Singapore ranked 1st and 2nd overall. To provide further insight and analysis on Indonesia's latest global competitiveness, we're joined via Skype by the World Economic Forum's Head of Analytics and Quantitative Research for Global Competitiveness and Risks, Thierry Geiger. Hello, Thierry.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. Now, Indonesia slid 4 places to 41st this year for 2016 and 2017. What does that mean for us, and how should we interpret this latest Global Competitiveness Index?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think the first message here is to say that the whole place drop is not so dramatic by our standards. It's actually the score of Indonesia, index doesn't change. It's the same as last year. So it's just that Indonesia is being overtaken by other countries. And so that's the first thing. The other thing is that, as you said, Indonesia is third among the large ASEAN countries behind Malaysia and Thailand. It's also behind China and India. Another key message is that Indonesia has been improving quite a bit since 2007, which is when we introduced the current methodology. So it's one of the 5 most improved countries in East Asia. So it's quite remarkable. And you already mentioned, some of the key weaknesses and strengths. So just to recap, so obviously Indonesia is a very big market, which is good for competitiveness, so 10th overall, 30th in macroeconomic environment, and also 31st in innovation, which is also quite remarkable for a country at this stage of development. Also quite well assessed the area of finance. Now, when you look for the downside, indeed, you have Indonesia ranked 100 in health and basic education, 108 out of 138, the labor market efficiency category of our index, and also 91st in the area of technology adoption. So that's one of the lowest categories. So that's for the overall picture for Indonesia performance in the index.
Right. Indonesia, its market size, it's ranked 10. Meanwhile, the labor market efficiency is at 108 here. There's a huge gap. There's an imbalance there that and Indonesia seems to need to focus on a lot of things, especially currently the Jokowi's governor administration is improving its infrastructure pillar, the macroeconomic environment, and also the bureaucracy reforms that Jokowi is undertaken at the moment. What are your views on this?
Yeah, I think they are all steps in the right direction. But what I would like to emphasize is the fact that Indonesia, being a country of 260 million population, with a median age of just 29 years old. Just by comparison, Switzerland is 42, and Japan is 46. So very young, very big population. So I think one of the key areas of priority for the government is to invest in its people. So train the people, invest in health, invest in education, invest in making the labor market more functioning, invest especially in women education and making sure that they also join the workforce, because Indonesia does quite poorly in this area of the index when it comes to labor participation of women. It's also about creating a safety nets for the population, and there are also like signs that the government is investing in creating a safety net. So the need to nurture and grow the talent is really a priority. Another priority is to invest in infrastructure, not only transport infrastructure, but also technological infrastructure. A lot of money is going to infrastructure at time. So very difficult in the case of Indonesia, which is 17,000 islands. Connect them, it is a challenge indeed. But more needs to be done to improve infrastructure, but also digital infrastructure. Because increasingly, digital infrastructure is the way to connect people. It's the way to access basic services such as education, such as health, such as financial services. So this area of competitiveness, the technological adoption, should not be neglected and should be developed further. So, and finally, as you said, diversification issue. Indonesia is still dependent a lot when it comes to export commodities and oil and coal, for example. And in this current situation, very low commodity prices, we see that all the economy depend excessively on mineral resources, commodities. They are extremely vulnerable. So they need to diversify away from mineral resources and other sectors and services is very critical. But there too, there are signs that the Indonesian government is willing to diversify like tourism.
Right, you're right there. It's something of which that the Jokowi administration is very much focused on, robust infrastructure progress. One last question, Thierry, is that Richard Saman says it in the introduction of the Global Competitiveness that this index comes during a time during a risk income inequality, increasing social and political tension, but at the same time it comes in the most prosperous and peaceful times in recorded history. However, we are seeing a lot of changes here. Brexit, AEC that is taken flight last year, the conflict that's happening in Syria, Aleppo, among India's rise, China's slowdown. So how soon can we expect this to be factored into the global competitiveness? As soon as next year, or in the next 5 years?
Well, all these phenomena are partly the result of geopolitical tensions and social issues, but they're also the result of what we call the declining openness. For example, Brexit, for example, the migrant crisis. These are the result of a tendency of countries to be more inward-looking. This is already observed in results where we see countries to be less open, to have this tendency to withdraw from the international scene. And for us, this is a very worrisome trend that is bad for competitiveness, but it's bad for prosperity. And we are sending a very clear message that countries should do more to stay open, to promote trade, promote changes, promote ideas, exchange technologies, because this will affect a lot the economic prospect of the global economy going forward.
All right, Thierry, thank you so much for that insight. We hope to be talking to you again soon on Indonesia's competitiveness.
Thank you. Good night.